Hey folks, this is Mary. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little writing practice with you. So here I have my lovely dragon pen roll, and I did do an unboxing video about this if you haven't seen it yet. I've got my pens of the month in this roll, and I take them with me to work. I take them with me everywhere, and I am loving this pen roll so much. And here is my little practice notebook. I keep calling it my fountain pen playground, but that just sounds too ridiculous, so I don't know. I have an ink journal where I keep track of my inks, but this is just, I don't know what this is. So, do you have names for your fountain pen journals? What do you call them? Alright, so, if you are into fountain pens, as most of us are, we like to write with our inks. So when we're testing out an ink, we have to write words. So what words do you use to write with your pen? Most people go with the traditional, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And I was looking into this, and I actually found that that sentence was used by typewriter salesmen to advertise their typewriters, because it uses all the letters in the alphabet, and it's a nice, coherent sentence that's not too long. So they would type these sentences out on the typewriters to show off the keys. And I thought that was so interesting. There are sentences that are shorter, but many of them don't make sense. And some of them might not be family appropriate. they might not be appropriate in the sales, on the sales floor in a store. But anyway, I was looking up some different sentences, so I thought I would share some of them with you. So I thought this might be a fun way to use my pens. And I have to say, this is the first time for the month of July that I have chosen a selection of pens to use for the whole month. And I wasn't sure how I would like it, but so far I am loving it so much. I've got these pens, they're all together, they're ready to go in the pen roll, they're inked up, they're ready to write, and I have different colors to choose from, so it is so wonderful. I love it, and I think I'm going to be doing this from now on. Before it was always, I would just grab a pen, I'd throw some ink in it. When I got tired of it, I would put it down, I'd pick up another pen, but this way, it's just more, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's just more, I can't think of the word. It's thought out, it's planned. That's not the word I'm trying to think of, but anyway, it's thoughtful, it's intentional. This is an intentional way for me to use my pens, so I thought that was really good. So, I've got my little cheat sheet over here. Oh, and just so you can see, whoops, this is a caliber notebook from CVS. Thank you so much, Chris Sines, for telling me about these notebooks. And also my vintage pen burped, so had a little mess there, but Grandma's old, so she might throw up a little bit. All right, that doesn't mean I love Grandma any less. I was trying to get an angle where I thought you could see me write a little better. I don't know if this is working or not. It's hard to tell while you're filming, That's why movie studios do multiple takes, so they can look back at what they've done and adjust, but I think this will work okay. We'll see. Maybe I'll try something different next time. Anyway, so this, oh, I forgot to mention my pen, good heavens. So this is the TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR in purple, and I have Lamy Azurite in it, and it has an extra fine nib. And I got this pen on clearance. It was a return. And, I'm all about the sales. So I didn't have a TWSBI extra fine nib, so I thought this would be good to try. And I also have my eye on I had it on the Prussian Blue, which I have since purchased. But I also have it on the Rose Gold Smoke. So I wanted to try the 580 before, making those full price purchases. So I'm really enjoying the pen, but the nib seems it's really fine. Maybe it's too fine for me. I don't know. But I think these Diamond 580s come with, you can get replacement nibs for them. So I might try to get a broader nib for this. I haven't tried taking the nib unit off of this, but my first thought was I didn't want to get a replacement nib because it wouldn't be the same color. It wouldn't match the pen. Good heavens, if it doesn't match, oh my goodness, I can't stand it. But I think the nib unit is just this little black strip right here, and I think that would unscrew. So, I've got an extra fine, and the next pen is the Prussian blue, and I'm pretty sure this one is a fine. Yeah, this is a fine, because I got this at the Norfolk Stationery, and they had it in fine and broad. So I got the fine, because I am just a chicken. I can't seem to buy those broader nibs. What is wrong with me? But I have an extra fine and a fine. So, maybe if I get that rose gold smoke in gasp abroad, and then I could get a replacement nib in a medium or a stub or something, and then I would have all these different nibs to switch between my pens. That sounds like such a fabulous idea. Okay, so as I just mentioned, this is the Diamond 580 ALR in Prussian blue. And oh my goodness, I'm just all over the place. Sorry. I forgot to mention the sentence. The sentence is, pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. And the first time I ever heard this sentence was when I was reading the book Ella Minnow P. Have you guys ever heard of that book? I forget who the author is, and I didn't think to write it down, but it's about a community that lives on a little island, I think off the South Carolina coast. And apparently the man who created the sentence, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, was from that island. So they had a sign outside, welcoming people into the town with that sentence on it. And the letters started to fall off of the sign, and people took that as a sign that they had to stop using those letters of the alphabet. Maybe it was a sign that the sign was old and they needed a new sign. But anyway, it was kind of a kindler, gentler version of Misery by Stephen King. I don't know if you guys have read that book, but this author is kidnapped by a crazy woman, and he has to write a novel on a typewriter, and the keys keep breaking. So he's trying to write the story while missing typewriter keys. And here people are trying to communicate with each other without certain letters of the alphabet. So the characters were discussing the shortest sentences in the English language that use all the letters, and this was one of the shortest ones that they came up with. So anyway, by the way, I'm a librarian, so I love books, and I talk about books all the time, so that's where that came from. There's a book I can relate to everything. Every issue I can relate to a book, but it's a lot of fun. So, moving on, the Twisby Diamond 580 ALR in Prussian blue with the fine nib. And so far in my experience in writing with this pen, the fine nib seems very, very close to the extra fine nib. I'm not seeing a lot of difference between them. All right, and I just have a whole list of fun sentences to choose from, so which one should I choose next? Let me see. Ooh, and I hope you guys can see this. All right, so this sentence is, Farmer Jack realized that big yellow quilts were expensive. And I forgot to mention the ink that was in this one. This is the Pure Pens Celtic Sea, which I just love. But again, I'm thinking this nib might be a little bit fine for me. All right, next up we have my Pen BBS 355 in Misty Mountain. I was using this to write with, I think yesterday, and I have fallen in love with this pen. Oh my goodness. It is such a joy to write with. I posted a picture of it on my Instagram account, just gushing about how smooth the pen is. I love it so much, and I have it filled with Pure Pens Saltire, which is a fabulous ink. All right, now I've just been gushing about you. Don't misbehave on camera. All right, Dave quickly spotted 4 women dozing in the jury box. This pen is so smooth and so beautiful. I think I might need to ink this one up every month. We'll see. But I also got the Pilot 78G Plus in a medium, and that was incredibly smooth too. So we'll see. We'll see what comes around in August. But so far, again, I am loving these pens. So this is my TWSBI Eco in translucent green, and I have it filled with Diamine Sherwood green. And I haven't used this one too much yet this month. But it's a fine nib, and it's pretty fine. So I was saying that about the Diamond 580 nibs, that I was trying to get some different sizes. So I have a fine and a medium in the Eco, and I think that's all. I can't remember. Anyway, I think I have 2 fines and a medium. All right, who's next? All right, brown jars prevented the mixture from freezing too quickly. And for some reason, this made me think about ink because, you know, ink reacts with sunlight and we need to keep it out of the sunlight. So a lot of ink jars are dark. I don't know. All right, here is my vintage Eagle. This was the naughty pen that burped on my pad of paper. And I had this at work the other day, and we share desks. So we're, you know, as we're scheduled to move from place to place, you know, we move around. I'm sorry, I'm not making a whole lot of sense. Anyway, I don't have my own separate desk, so other people sit where I sit, and I had my pens out. I have to admit, I was doing a little list of all of my pens, was writing out with all of my pens to look at all the pretty colors. And I looked down, and there was a puddle of blue ink on the desk. So somehow this pen had leaked, and I couldn't find anywhere on the pen where the ink was coming from. So I don't know if it had just dripped out of the nib while I was, you know, maybe I was writing and I was just holding it down and it dripped out. That's what happened here. I was just holding the pen and the ink just dripped out. So I don't know. This lady's old, so she's a little drippy. I don't know what's going on there, but I had blue ink all over my arm, and I had to clean off the desk because somebody else had to come and use the desk. So Miss Eagle is not going to go with me to work anymore. But that's okay. She's retired. She can stay home and relax. Oh, let me see. Which sentence did I want to use next? Ooh, you know what? I think I need to mark these off because I might accidentally write one again. Because it's hard for me to think and talk at the same time. Let's see. Okay, here is an homage to a person that I follow on Instagram. My hovercraft is full of eels. His name is Peter, and I'm not sure what his last name is, but he posts pictures on Instagram of, you know, pictures of him writing with his pens, and he uses this sentence to show off his ink sometimes, and I think it is just hilarious. It's from Monty Python, and that just goes to show that you can use any sentence you want. It does not have to contain all the letters of the alphabet. You just have fun with it. All right. Oh, and my Eagle is filled with Serenity Blue. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. Oh my goodness. Speaking of posting things on Instagram. So this morning I got my pen out, and it has this really awesome ink window. Can you see that? See, now it's full of ink, and if I turn it over, then, you know, the ink runs down inside the pen. And I think it is just genius. This pen is 90 years old. Who came up with the idea 90 years ago for an ink window? I think it's brilliant. Oh my gosh, I love this pen so much. But, oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. So I was getting the pen out this morning to write with it, and the ink window was empty. And I realized that the pen was empty. And probably when I had that big pool of ink on the desk yesterday, that all of the ink had run out of it. So I got my bottle of Serenity Blue out to refill it, and I filled it up, and then I couldn't find the cap. I had set the cap down somewhere while I was filling my pen, and it wasn't next to the pen or the bottle of ink. I had put it somewhere else. And I am very scatterbrained, and I put things in the most bizarre places. I couldn't find my glasses once for 3 days, and I had put them in the linen closet. Who knows why? But anyway, I was tearing around the house trying to find my pen cap, and I finally found it on my work table. Well, I don't exactly have a desk right now. I just use my dining room table, but it is full of pens and ink and sample vials and Q-tips and, you know, all the stuff for the, you know, the tools of the trade. And it was just sitting there out in the open, just waiting for me to find it. But I was terrified that I had dropped it on the floor, and while I was running around trying to find it, I was going to step on it and break it. So I was carefully trying to tear around the house to find my pen cap. So, oh, I've had a couple of days with my eagle here. It's you know, taken some years off of my life. It's given me some gray hairs. Okay. So next up we have my TWSBI Eco, and this one has a medium nib. The green one had a fine nib. And this is filled with Troublemaker Sea Glass. And it's a really interesting greenish brown ink. It looks green, but it has brown undertones. So it's kind of it's one of those multi-shading inks that's green and brown. And this paper, well, this is one of the Walmart Exceed notebooks, if you can see that. And it's the A5 size, and I also have the moleskin size Exceed notebook. I don't know what that's called. What is that, A5 Slim? Anyway. And they both have kind of yellowish paper. So this greenish brown ink on this yellowish paper looks really muddy. Actually, I really want to let this blob of Serenity Blue dry just to see what it looks like. So I'm trying not to smear it, but this is the CVS Caliber notebook. So I thought I would just write with this a little bit. I like to write hello a lot when I'm testing out my pens. So that is my test word of choice. Now on this white paper, I think it's much prettier, but I was writing in my journal with it and it looked really muddy. So I don't think this ink is going to agree with the yellowish paper very well. But that's okay. I'm still enjoying using it because the Troublemaker inks are just fantastic. They're like magic juice. Oh my goodness, I love them so much. Okay, so which sentence would we like to do next? Ooh, this is an homage to one of my favorite YouTube channels, Adventure Denali. She also writes with her fountain pens a lot. And if you ever have watched her channel, you know the sentence that she uses. So I am immortalizing it here in honor of her. And I always get this wrong. Not that there's a right or wrong, I'm just writing for practice, but still, you know what I mean. All right, the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. And I always want to say the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Again, it's just for practice, it doesn't matter. But, you know, I'm looking at this ink, and it kind of changes color as it dries. It's such an interesting ink. It's looking nice now, but in a few minutes, I'm afraid it's going to look not so nice. But that's okay. All right, and finally we have my TWSBI Go in smoke with the stub nib, and this has Venta mascara in it. And I have found, this has a pop cap, you know, a snap cap, and I just grabbed it and pulled one day, and a blob of ink went flying across the room. So this, I have to very carefully take the cap off, because I don't want this luscious purpley ink flying everywhere. I want the ink to stay in the pen so I can use it more, right? And this is the first time I've really used the stub nib, and I've really been enjoying it. So, fabulous ink, fabulous nib. I'm having a great time with this one. So let's see. Ah, this is another favorite sentence that I like to use to practice my handwriting, to practice with an ink. I have to warn you, this might get stuck in your head. So if you are susceptible, stop watching now. All right. And I'm not going to say this one out loud because, again, I don't want it to get stuck in anyone's head. But you can see what I've written there, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is that Venta mascara, and this definitely needs a broader nib. So, again, I had it in the Pilot 78G at first, and it just looked anemic. So I've put it in the Go with the stub nib, and I like it so much better. It's a beautiful ink. It's one of those really pale multi-shading inks. Kind of like the Sea Glass. I mean, the Sea Glass is one of those multi-shaders too from Troublemaker, but it's just a much bolder ink. Out of those multi-shading inks in the Troublemaker line, it's definitely a more bold color. All right, so those are my practice sentences. Hopefully this has given you some ideas to use with your pens. And if you have a favorite sentence that you like to write, then please share it with me because I'm always looking for new ideas. And I hope excuse me. I hope you are enjoying your pens and inks, and I will see you next time. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks. Bye-bye.